Welcome to Beyond the Coverage. I'm Chris Horner. In today's edition, I want to cover Primoz Roglic, the Jumbo-Visma rider. Now, yesterday in cycling news, I saw where he released his schedule leading up to the Giro d'Italia, and the only race the Slovenian's going to do is Catalonia. That race is in March. The Giro doesn't start until May, so that leaves a lot of training camps before Catalonia and, of course, after Catalonia gets you ready for the Giro d'Italia. It also leaves you not very many bike races, right? So it means you can come into the Giro d'Italia really fresh. And the first thing I thought of while reading Primoz Roglic's program here to get ready for the Giro d'Italia was my 2013 Vuelta win. Now, when I won the Vuelta in 2013, the only race I had was basically Torino Adriatico at the beginning of the season, which is where I hurt my knee at. And from that point on, I was at home and out of commission for the whole season, all the way into the Tour of Utah after having surgery done on my knee and recovery and then proper training all the way up into Utah. About 12 days, I believe it was, 10, 12 days from Utah to the Vuelta starting, and then coming into the Vuelta 100% fresh. Now, when I look at Primoz Roglic's schedule, this is a kid that can come in here. He's over 30 years old, I know, but he's a kid to me. This is a guy that can come in here and really just be good at the start of the Giro d'Italia and then come out of the Giro incredibly fresh. A lot of people think you can't do the double, right? At this moment in Primoz Roglic's schedule, he has it set for Catalonia, the Giro d'Italia, which I told you, and then of course they have plans on doing the Tour of Spain. But when I look at his program, I'm thinking the whole reason that they're leaving him to be so fresh coming into the Giro d'Italia is because you always have the option card to bring him to the Tour de France. Now, Jumbo-Visma are going to go in with Jonas Vingegaard, of course, last year's 2022 Tour de France champion, as their main leader in the Tour de France, which I think is a mistake. If your sole goal is to win the Tour de France, I think you have to bring Primoz Roglic to the Tour de France too. So bringing him to the Giro, I think, is an absolutely knucklehead move. But I don't believe they can win the Tour de France with those two guys anyways. Against Tadej Pogacar racing 100% healthy, intelligent, and his team being 100% healthy at the 2023 Tour, I don't think you can beat him. But if there's any guy that can, I believe the only person that can beat Tadej Pogacar racing intelligently and on form is Primoz Roglic. So bringing him to the Giro might be a better idea, because if you can't win the Tour de France, at least you could tell your sponsors, well, we won the Giro. And then you could send him to the Tour of Spain and say, well, we won the Tour of Spain too. It wasn't a bad season, right? But when I look at this program, Catalonia, Giro d'Italia, and I compare it to my 2013 Vuelta win, I'm telling you, I came out of that year's Vuelta on fabulous flying form and felt fantastic when we started the Road World Championships in 2013. Probably the best form I'd ever have in my entire career was right there at the Road World Championships. And I'm thinking, when I see Primoz Roglic's schedule of going into the Giro d'Italia this fresh, I think he could exit the Giro d'Italia possibly winning if he can beat Remco Evenepoel. I'll put him as my number one favorite anyways, over Remco Evenepoel. So winning the Giro, if he doesn't crash, comes out of the Giro without any crashes at all, on good form winning, I think he can go into the Tour de France and be a big-time threat to Tadej Pogacar, or at least the biggest you can find throughout the World Tour of professional cyclists racing their bike when you're talking about July at the Tour de France. So keep in mind, I know right now, the plan for Jumbo-Visma with Primoz Roglic, Catalonia, Giro d'Italia, and then of course they have the Tour of Spain on his schedule. But when you won last year's Tour de France, and I see stage 11 the way they won in stage 11, and the 1,000 mistakes from UAE Team Emirates, they were big. Every one of them was costly. Basically, every pedal stroke they did was in the wrong way of trying to win that stage 11 and keep that race leader's jersey. I think they really gave it away tactically, and Jonas Vingegaard got himself in the race leader's jersey. Tadej Pogacar bunked on the Col de Granon, and that allowed Jumbo-Visma to take the race leader's jersey with Jonas Vingegaard and then put Tadej Pogacar on the back seat, always trying to race too aggressive and not able to top a very, very good Jonas Vingegaard. Very fine rider, very good win at last year's Tour de France, and well-deserved. But I still believe Tadej Pogacar was better. So the only way I see Jumbo-Visma being able to beat Tadej Pogacar is having that 1-2 combination again with Primoz Roglic 100% on form for this year's 2023 Tour de France. And when I look at his program, I'm going to say it right here on Beyond the Coverage first. I think he does Catalonia, comes in the Giro d'Italia 100% on form, can win the Giro d'Italia, and then could arrive at the Tour de France and possibly be the first rider to do the double in a very long time, because it's been many years since we've seen a rider successfully go into the Giro d'Italia and win the Tour de France. This could be the time when we see it happen. Going to need a little bit of luck to still be better than Tadej Pogacar if he does come out of the Giro with this form and shows up at the Tour de France. But I got to believe, looking at this program, it's to keep Primož Roglic fresh and always have the possibility of throwing him into the Tour de France along with Jonas Vingegaard, so they have that 1-2 combination on Jumbo-Visma again. Now, I don't think we're going to see a Tour de France like we did last year, because it would take a lot of mistakes from UAE Team Emirates, who have beefed up their team since last year to make a stronger team. And I don't think we'll see that same mistakes coming into the Tour de France for UAE Team Emirates like we saw last year. But tactically, they do make some mistakes, and they make some catastrophic ones on stage 11. So it could be another super exciting 2023 Tour de France if Primož Roglic wins the Giro, comes out fresh, and then starts the Tour de France on flying form. I know I did in 2013 show up at the Road World Championships with this same kind of light schedule of racing, and I think Primož Roglic could do the same. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next edition real soon.